redoing gender in 2014,
Yes.
the Women House in 2015, and also the Man House in 2014.
Yes.
And now you come here with WoMAN and WoMAN.
Yes.
Always related to gender.
Absolutely.
Why?
Because I think it's extremely important regarding diversity, regarding queer genders, regarding people that don't fit into a binary system of masculine and feminine, but people that are in between. So I wanted to create projects that open this space for dialogue.
I've done work that has to do with overlapping of identities and looking at female perspectives, perhaps different forms of sexuality and identity. So I feel that all these subject matters are in the air and need to be discussed. And I think which is also why Andreas asked me to perform this particular solo as one of the performers performing the solo. And there's also Danny who's performing the solo as well. So I think it's interesting to see the solo on different physicalities. And personally, I felt quite at home with all of the material and all the subject matter. So it's been a very luxurious process, actually.
Aren't we creating kind of like borders through gender and the binary gender?
Absolutely.
Isn't it a way to divide people?
Socially, yes, it is. And I think that's something that we should try to break down as much as we possibly can. And of course, there are many layers at play. One of the layers being that we've lived in a very patriarchic society for many, many, many years, and that has a very clear system. So one thing is to break down certain systems so that things can be a bit more fluid. Yeah.
How do you play with the gaze when it comes to femininity?
The gaze?
Yes.
Or in several ways. Well, in this performance, I would say it's two solo works, and one is a solo on myself, and another is a solo on a performer called Danny, and also on a second cast member on a performer called Alice. And I'd say both of the works deal with it in different ways. In my work, as in the one that I'm performing, I would say this is a piece where I've gone on a search to find what does femininity mean to me as a man.
I love working with Andreas because he looks at the person and he works with the individual. So all movement material is adapted to the individual, and in that sense you really feel a sense of journeying through the work when you're performing it that is particular to you.
This performance, WoMAN and WoMAN, comes along with an exhibition by young people. How did you put together all of it?
And the reason for this is because, again, the discourse, the dialogue around gender, for me it's important that it's not just through performance. That's one way. But another way is to actively get out there and creatively work with people for them to have a creative voice and for them to express something and make something and for them to talk. So it's another way of like broadening the discussion. I would say the work on stage, I try as much as possible with these new two works to leave things as open to interpretation as possible and not to try too much to construct very, you know, narrow things. So I want to leave a space very open for people to interpret. You have to come and see.